Welcome to Let's Talk Influence. It's a real joy for us to connect with you this episode, and we're going to talk about telling the story through the lens. We have with us here Praveen Emmanuel. Praveen Emmanuel is an award winning photojournalist, and he tells stories through the lens. He's got his master's in communication and journalism, and he's also heading an international project. And all he does is he tells the story through the lens. Praveen, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, Ashwin. It's my pleasure to be here.
Praveen, this episode is all about telling the story through the lens, and we're talking to on this platform called Let's Talk Influence. Before we jump into the topic, how do you see this word influence?
Influence in today's age, I think it's very powerful, right? It's something that we all have to work on. I think we're all influential in some way or the other.
Right.
Everything that you speak, the way you wear your clothes, the way you dress, everything has an influence on others.
Right.
Whether it's good influence or bad influence, that's the question,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I think it's really important that we recognize what our influence is and then we use it for the betterment, for the
Right.
good of humanity.
Right. We are talking about a very interesting, unique topic. Everybody's got a story,
Yeah,
and everybody's got a phone now today.
that's right.
But then, one of the things I like what you are doing is you are a photojournalist. You work in over 18 countries. You're director for a communication team. You are involved with children's projects, helping people, communities, and you also have your own media company. A lot of stuff is going around, and what I find in your journey is the first question: why do you do what you do?
That's a great question, Ashwin. I think it all starts, if I may, I'd like to rewind and go back to my childhood, right? I was born in a very simple family, middle class family. And growing up, I had this innate desire, right? Desire to see the world. And I used to flip through magazines, read comic books. And my dad used to get a lot of these visitors from abroad.
Right.
So I would go with him on the scooter to the airport. And I don't know if you remember back in the 80s and 90s, outside the airport, there would be this aluminum fence, the bars. So I used to stand on that and wait to see, people coming out of the airport and waiting to see our guests come out.
In fact, going to the airport was a big
Was a
outing.
big thing, right? As kids, it was my it was my picnic,
Yeah,
my my vacation. I always loved hearing from people about their country, or even when I read books, my mind takes off, to another world. So I always had that desire to travel, always had the desire to see different communities, cultures, and I think that was there growing up. Never had the opportunity. I finished college. I was doing my master's in Madras Christian College, and I think that was my first time I ever got an opportunity to fly. I was on an aeroplane and went somewhere. And since then it's been an incredible journey, right? But what I wanted to share is it's that still that childlike enthusiasm that I have about traveling and going to different places and capturing the essence of what that culture is or what that community is and bringing back. So that's my way of storytelling, right? So it goes back to my childhood, and I think that's why I'm very excited about travel and exploring all these different people groups. I travel so much that I recently in 2016 I downloaded an app which tracks my travel, and I just saw on the app that I've traveled more than 470,000 kilometers, right, in the last few years. Enough to travel the world, around the globe, 11.8 times. And, God has given me this incredible opportunity to go and see some of the places that not many people get the opportunity to see. Still, God has, kept me in a place where I can do what I love, do what I'm passionate about, and still every time you tell me, I'm excited about it, right? There's that excitement, and that wonder has never ceased.
Praveen, that's a great point. I take some keywords. The keyword is desire.
Yeah,
So I think if you have a good desire, and excitement already comes in, and then you want to learn more.
yeah.
But as a kid, you're an award-winning photographer. More than 2 decades in
Yes.
this. You run a media company, and this episode is called "Telling the Story Through the Lens."
Yeah.
When did you ever feel, or when did you ever felt that everybody captures a story, but
Right.
what was your moment to say, "Hey, listen, I like telling a story through the lens"?
Yeah.
When did that journey start?
I think the one-word answer to that is impact. Now, let me go back again. So I finished college. I did my visual communication, and this was the year 2004. My dad gets a call. I don't know if you remember, we had the tsunami, this big
Yes.
tsunami that impacted South Asia. And so my dad gets a call from his friend saying he wants a photographer to capture what happened here, here in Chennai, Kadalur, Nagapattinam, and areas like that. And so that he's a journalist, so he wanted to write an article, and so my dad said, my son is there. He's a photographer. He just finished his studies, so he's at home jobless. So I can ask
Use
him.
him, yeah.
Yeah, you can use him, right? So my life till that time, so I finished college, I always wanted to be a director. My aim, my ambition, my goal in life was to be a film director. So I worked in TV channels, I worked in studios, I was producing TV shows for different local channels. So my life was heading towards films. That was the first step, right? TV is the first,
Yeah.
and then you step into films. So organically, that was my next step, and then tsunami happened. So after this call, I responded to it. So I went to all these places, and this is just the day after the tsunami. So I was able to capture a lot of photos. Back then it was analog cameras, right? You put the negatives and then start shooting. And I was able to send it to them, and they this person he's a journalist, so he wrote an article, published some of the pictures, and I think got a lot of attention. So he called and said he's coming to Sri Lanka and he wants me to join him. So again, I had another, my first opportunity to travel outside the country was to do this quick trip to Gal in Sri Lanka and cover the story there. Towards the end of that trip, so this person, his name is Greg, he asked me, would you like to do this for a living? And that question, really impacted me, because all my life, I'm like that horse with those two things, right? I was focused on being a film director. And then suddenly this question comes to me over a table saying, would you like to do this for a living? And I think that's when that childlike spark, just flashed in my mind, is what if I can do this? What if I can travel? What if I can see the world? Films I can always come back to, right? We can always come back. This is home. So that, let me give it a shot. Because what I heard is the simple pictures that I took made a big impact. People have been donating, people have been giving, a lot of funds came into Sri Lanka and India to help, agencies to support the people that have lost their homes and lives due to the tsunami. My work, one simple image, right? One simple image has made an impact. I was just 20, 21 years old at that time, and I was thinking, if one or two photos of mine can make this profound impact, what if I do this for a living? What if I get to see different cultures, and then through my work, if I can bring a change, if I can impact a little village or a little community, I think that'll be amazing. So I think as a young guy, I just wanted to try. I think there's another important lesson in that, is when opportunity comes, we have to take the risk and grab it.
Correct.
Right? If I was comfortable, if I said, you know what, I'm actually comfortable where I'm at, I was earning well. For a 20-year-old guy, I was in TV channels getting paid per the episode. I could have been very comfortable in that lifestyle, but I took that risk and I said yes to this person who went on to become my boss, and he founded this organization called Kids for the Kingdom. It was way back in 2005 when I joined them, and I'm working for them ever since. So it's been over 19 years since I've been working with them, and I've traveled. We have project sites in over 18 countries, and my job is to travel to all these countries, capture stories, come back. And Ashwin, you won't believe this. In the last, almost 20 years of my career, I've raised not thousands, not hundreds, but millions of dollars of impact, directly or indirectly, through what I do. Isn't that amazing? I mean, that's what I was hoping, if I can bring that change. And now when I look back, I'm amazed. I'm really astounded that a simple boy from Chennai, not good at studies. I really struggled in school. But God has used me to make an impact around the world and raise so much of funds to help communities around the world.
Exactly. I think we're going to close, Praveen, and we're going to talk more about it. The key takeaways I see here is, one is desire.
Yeah.
Number two, you said, that excitement with that desire.
Yeah.
So that's another point. Many people have desire, but there's no excitement. So the passion with desire, that's a big takeaway. And then you said, when opportunity comes, it's not just going and doing it, but then how can I help? I always ask, when people say, who is a creative person? My simple one line is,
Right.
the person who can find a solution is a creative person.
Yep. Yeah.
So creativity is nothing but
Yeah.
finding solutions,
That's right, yeah.
And as long as what you did was you found a solution
Yeah.
to someone's problem. And out there, I remember 2004, we were helping communities,
Yeah.
and many were there.
Right.
But then one story can make a huge impact.
Huge impact.
So I think we're going to talk about that, and we're talking with Praveen, award-winning journalist, photographer, friends, and don't miss the next episode. We're going to find what's it behind the lens and what's the real story. Today is just the teaser. Don't miss the next episode. We're going to dive deep into topic of telling the story through the lens, and you're watching Let's Talk Influence, and you are more than a conqueror.